What's up, everybody? This is the Grand Line Gazette where we talk about One Piece damn near every damn day. And today, it's currently Friday. I don't really know what day you're
Mhm.
watching this on. Probably Saturday, maybe
Probably.
Monday. But we got another theory video. We got a discussion video. It's a break week this week. No chapter 1143. So instead, we're going back to the past and we're going to talk about one of the warlords. Our favorite warlord. One of our favorite
Yes.
warlords, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doflamingo, right?
Yep.
Joker, a member of the Beastmen Pirates, a celestial dragon, a king of a
Heavenly
country,
demon.
the heavenly demon, a king of a country, twice, I think,
Yeah.
like a
Technically, I
warlord,
guess. Yeah.
currently a prisoner. All right, and a devil
Yep.
fruit user, a very powerful devil fruit user. Maybe we'll talk about that in this video. We might talk about that more in another video where we talk about his devil fruit specifically. But in this video,
Sure.
we're going to talk about one of his powers. Um, but in general, that's Kev. I'm Corey. We talk about One Piece a lot. Today we're talking about Doflamingo. We're talking about like what he means to the story. He knows a lot of the history, the hidden history that we're learning now. Doflamingo knows, as noted in the background right here. 16 holy bullets,
Yep.
right? That means something. We're gonna talk about it. Then we're gonna talk about basically how is he gonna get out of prison. He's gonna be important in this final saga. How, we're gonna theorize it, and then we're gonna end it on his connections to the government still, what that looks like. We're gonna go one at a time, but we are going to start with his knowledge of history. So, write down in the comments below how you guys feel about Doflamingo, what you guys think about these subjects, and as always, Kev, if you can help us get started.
Yeah. So to start us off, Doflamingo comes from the Don Quixote family, once a celestial dragon family. His father then gave up that right enough to where it drove Dofi into a situation where it unlocked his conqueror's hockey. He later made the choice to kill his own father and give his body to the celestial dragons to try to earn his spot back, but was rejected. Ever since then, he was kind of had a chip on his shoulder, was angry about it, had a legion of followers from a very young age. And like you said, his devil fruit power may have been weak originally, but now with the user being who he is, it's just an exceptional power. I mean, he was able to awaken it, and it's one of the better devil fruits we've seen in a main opponent like this.
It is weird to think about all these people actually using their abilities. We've seen Luffy use his ridiculous looking abilities, but it's like this dude controls string. So what was he doing? Marionette puppets at first, like.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah. And with these abilities, that string ability he has, we're going to talk about his knowledge of history. Uh, there have been times where he has kind of linked us to him knowing more than the not only the reader, but knowing more than the average citizen, the average person on the planet. When he
Sure.
spoke about what is truth, truth is made by the winners. It's a perspective based, like what the truth is, like the winners get to make the truth. That was basically him being like, look, I know who the world government is, and then I know who the world government works for. And then I
Yeah,
know who they work for, being like the Gorosei, not going all the way up to Emu. I'm not sure if he knows
yeah,
about them, but he's like, I know who pulls the strings. I'm the underground kingpin. You know what I mean? Like I know who pulls the strings. Like I know what you guys believe, and then I know what the actual truth is. His 16 holy bullets is very much like the attack we saw in Lelucia, where 16 beams of light came down and destroyed the entire island. So we think that that ability is reminiscent of that. So that's ancient technology. That's knowledge of ancient weapons. So
yeah,
there's just some compounded ideas right there.
yeah. And another thing that we see that was for like had the number 16 was Luffy rang the bell 16 times as well. So it's like something Oda does like to use. So I do like that connection. I think Oda's trying to make it a good connection there as well. So with that, how we're getting to that idea though is that how he knows the Gorosei is because when he is questioning Moria after being they greenlight a Moria capture or kill order from Doflamingo, Moria asks him straight out, like, did Sengoku say to do this or what's up? And he says, think higher, which only could really come down to 7 individuals, which I agree with Corey here. I don't think it's Emu. I do think Doflamingo knows about Emu, but I think it makes the most sense that it's not a Kainu and it's actually one of the Gorosei. Mainly, I think it's Saint Saturn. Um, what are your thoughts?
Uh, well, as far as him like as far as that, I'm not too sure. I think it could be like somebody like Saint Saturn. I was gonna save that more for the portion of like his celestial linkage, like who he works with still in the government. But to wrap up this last part for like the history, like, do we think like he knows about like the flooding and stuff like that? Just to wrap up like the history portion, like how do you feel about like his knowledge of like it's flooded before?
I think having the celestial like being from that family, he may have books that would increase his knowledge, and if he has that knowledge of maybe seeing the ancient weapon being used before, maybe seeing the 16 beams being used before, he may that's where he might have gotten the inspiration to use it in his own ancient weapon or his own move. So I wonder if he's been studying kind of the government's movements for quite some time.
I wonder if they do have like libraries of like not like much like O'Hara, like
Yeah,
within the Celestial Dragon Society. You know what I mean? Like that. That's a good point. Like when you said that, I just brought up because he looks a lot like young Sabo. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
so, it's like that brought up Sabo's flashback where he's like reading and he's supposed to be studying. I'm like, was Doflamingo studying too? Like, do they have books? What do they teach in the history there? Like, is there a secret history
Yeah.
that like most don't know about, but like you can find out? Like, that's
Or like a family diary, like his dad's like, oh hey, this was something my father taught, like, so I don't know,
bro.
something like
I
that
don't
could
know.
be there too.
That's
Yeah.
when you were growing up in like grade school. Did you have to read like those books sometimes that were just like journals
Yeah,
from
yeah,
like the
yeah,
kids in like World War II and stuff,
yeah,
like or the Great Depression? Like, damn, like yeah, it could be something like that too. That's
yeah.
wild.
Because those are firsthand like incident, like that's a firsthand perspective of what's like live events. So
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff is pretty cool. So it would be interesting, like if he had like business notes of like like a meeting with the celestial, like, hey, we were forced to invade this country and we had to massacre everyone. He's like, oh my god, the celestial dragons are
Or
crazy.
like this Saturn
I love it.
jerk before like any like bro just yeah that's interesting like first hand accounts from the celestial dragons. But yeah, so obviously he's got to know something about the history. He's linked in.
Sure.
He's a he pulls strings throughout the underground. You know what I mean? He knows things. And you know I've said it a couple of times on this channel. Like he knows knowledge. You know what I mean?
He does know knowledge.
Moving on to him escaping the. I think he's in the sub basement. He's in level 6, or he's in impelled down. Is he 5 or 6? He's in.
Couldn't tell you.
He's as low as you can go, and he's
He
basically
is
just
a
chained there.
warlord,
Yeah,
so I don't think he's in the higher levels.
yeah.
That's for sure.
He's in that same cell Jinbei and Ace were in. He's like, this is the warlord cell now. We'll just use that for them. Um, through his talks with like Suru and stuff, we've seen that like obviously he's been there for a while. They have intentions to keep him there. We know that he's too important to stay there, so there has to be something. No, I think you were talking about the theory of another jailbreak.
Of course, just because at the end of the day, we've gone back to him several times since his arrest. Usually that may mean like an exit from the story altogether. But we're keeping him around suspiciously like in small doses. So it seems like Oda's trying to bring him back. So it all begs the question: how does that happen? Obviously, you see Magellan is no longer the prison warden, so there may be a shift in belief within Magellan himself, who then may spring everyone, or you may have somebody like your Cross Guild come to break him out.
They
But I
also
don't know
all
if
got the announcement from Vegapunk.
true.
This is post announcement. I think a riot was kind of like starting up the last we saw them a little bit too. That's interesting. But yeah, as you were saying, like he's been there like for a while. Like him breaking out now. Like we could always do the riot, or it's like he could just be let out. Like it could just be a quiet thing where somebody lets him out too. That somebody that works up there, where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
uh, you don't need to be up in here. Um, Now I wonder how the other prisoners would like feel about him, since he's a celestial dragon.
Ooh, that's fair. You'd have to kind of be like in protective custody, which that may be what this is. Is that he's in like a secluded area for his own protection.
Because he can't
That's
use his
interesting.
string fruit. Like
Very true.
if he gets out them chains, then oh okay, he's using the string fruit on everybody, just using them to block attacks, kill everybody else. Like
Yeah.
yeah, okay, you can get out. You know what I mean? And then he
And
flies
so
away.
but here recently he's been seen with Magellan, right? And so they're just been sitting there. That's who he was listening to the Vegapunk broadcast with.
Yeah.
And he just straight up asked them like, what, Magellan, what would you do if Impel Down flooded? Magellan answered saying, if even 1 meter rise was already bad enough, imagine if we had a 5 meter rise. And then he said that they would just move up to higher ground, I guess. But
yeah, just build up. But
I guess, yeah.
dang, it's like Magellan's talking to him much like how I believe this mysterious Soma character is talking to Loki in the recent chapters, where it's like
Mosa.
Mosa, yeah, is talking to Loki through like the more recent chapters, where it's like at first like I showed up to be like, hey, that kid that beat you also beat Katakuri. Oh, that kid that beat you also beat Big Mom. Oh, that kid that beat you also beat your old boss, or maybe hey, your old boss went like lost, and it was that kid that beat you. So it's like these are reasons for him to talk to him, because
Yeah.
it's like, hey man, like I get it, but it's like that's kind of wild, right?
Can't you like bring me some good news?
Yeah, and maybe it's not even like telling him like to rub it in his face, but it's like, bro, who is this kid? You fought this kid, but like he took down Kaido and shit. Like I know
Yeah.
I fought him. Like this is wild that this kid is doing
Yeah.
this shit. Because everybody fought Luffy on on the way, so it's like they're kind of all kind of you can't help but be impressed. It's a topic of
Very true.
discussion.
And so if I was a betting person, I would definitely put a majority of my money on he escapes somehow, some way. Here soon, too.
But yeah, all that to say to support your point, where it's like Magellan is talking to him frequently,
Yeah.
and it's like that's all you got to do to almost like not become friends with somebody, but endear yourself to somebody. Where it's just like you're just somebody I know I could talk to if I need to talk to somebody for 10 seconds.
And Magellan's not a pushover either. I want us to remember, I don't think he lost the Impel Down first round either. Like I don't think he lost to
He
anybody.
gave
He
up.
lo- he gave up and he lost in the fact that people escaped, which
Yeah,
was the goal for him.
but
So it's like
they had to
he
team up
didn't
with the
lose a
wax,
fight
and
though.
even that he
Yeah,
was eat like his acid was eating through the wax, bro. Okay,
yeah.
new, love that idea, bro. Magellan and Doflamingo making an escape. Nobody can stop them. Period. Point
I don't.
blank.
I
Period.
can't imagine you're wrong.
All right, now
We've already
moving
seen it
on.
with Shiryu.
Exactly. Um, one warden after another. It's like
Yeah,
okay, that's just the pattern. Next is gonna be the old Ramses looking
Egyptian
guy.
guy.
Yeah. But yeah, the last point is the celestial linkage. Kid was talking a little bit about it in the beginning of the or earlier in the video, where he was told to go after Gecko Moria for a specific reason, and when he was asked, he said, "Think above the admirals, like think higher."
Hmm.
So there are only a limited amount of people. So that means he had pre-existing connections, even if it's like before he was a warlord. You know what I mean? Or after he was a warlord, like these connections are still like they prove that he was like an underground boss. It's like I might be in prison, but like I'm still cool with your boss's boss. You know what I mean? Like the Gorosei give me orders, bro. I'm only here till the Gorosei tell you to get me out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so really, it's like maybe that's why he's so chill in prison because he's like it's only a matter of time.
Which is very interesting to me because it's it feels like it was Moria specific as well. So do you think Moria has a bigger role to play as in the future with that being said? Or maybe
Actually,
his
everybody, you
power is
guys,
important?
yeah. Actually, everybody, check out our last video. I think on Moria where we talked about. I think we touched on this one where we were talking about it might be because like his it was from our theory where Thriller Bark
Hmm.
was God Valley, where like he
Yes.
took a lot of the shadows and souls from the people of God Valley. That's why the government wanted him killed, and that's why they sent Doflamingo after him because he is a celestial dragon. Only he knows about stuff from God Valley, or at least should be privy to it, if anybody. You know what I mean? And so they were like,
Yep.
all right, we're kind of keeping this in house. Go watch that video. Excellent, excellent theory. Um, yeah, but so whoever told him that still got to have a connection. He didn't just stop talking to Doflamingo because he's in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, okay, so if you get out, is it because of them? Like, is it because of the Gorosei? I think you said in the pre-show that it could be Figurlin Garling that gave him his orders originally. It couldn't. It didn't have to be a Gorosei. Maybe it was the guy in charge of the Gods Knights.
I completely agree with you. I think Figurling Garland could be a good in a good position here, more or less just using pieces on the board. He could promise. We've seen this promise before. Hey, you want to be a celestial dragon, and then use them all up, and then immediately snatch it back. We saw it with York. We saw Shamrock immediately pull that shit out with Loki, or Gunko and Shamrock pulled that out. So imagine you offered it. Garling offered the same thing to Doflamingo here, which is something he's been fighting for,
And
killed his father for.
and the Gods Knights are like a mixture of sword and shield, which is Aegis Zero, which is CP9, which are the CPs,
Mm,
CP0, CP9. Like the Gods Knights are like them and sword combined, where it's like they are expendable. They know they're expendable because they're working for the Gods Knights. But it's like, no, we're still kind of a big deal. Where if we have seen anything repeated, it's that CP agents infiltrate kingdoms and they try to manipulate the people in charge. Whether it's like, hey,
yeah.
we got to get rid of you because you're not paying your dues, or we got to make you pay your dues, or we got to strong arm you into joining the world government. I mean, we're just outright killing you. Like, we're doing damage control. So maybe the Gods Knights were doing that as well, but to a king that was also a ex celestial dragon. Like, we are sending you specifically because he's an ex celestial dragon. Like, no CP agent's gonna be able to tell him
Yeah.
anything, but you guys might. So maybe there was like a connection there, and maybe he knows something.
And he did roll with a couple pacifistas, so he could also have a pretty close linkage to like that program of the pacifista being built. Maybe he's
Saturn.
like, like exactly like with Saturn, maybe like with Vegapunk, he seems to know quite a bit of has quite a bit of knowledge of how the world works, maybe even how Vegapunk is and who he is, what kind of character he has. And so it is interesting to when we finally get more information on Doflamingo and like why he does the things he
That
does.
would be very interesting. We had a scene where Saturn was going to one of Vegapunk's labs, and like Doflamingo was standing there just like looking at Kuma. Like Kuma's like unconscious body, like while Vegapunk is like working at him. I think he was like asking like random questions, like, "So what are you even doing here?" Like,
What are you even doing here?
like okay, like here are the here's the secret underground technology that you bought. Here you go, man. I
Yeah,
guess because like I know because he wasn't only doing like drugs and like weapons and stuff. Like he could be smuggling tech for Vegapunk too, and maybe that's why he had like more of a connection. He was like buying stuff off Vegapunk and selling stuff to Vegapunk, and so he got in contact with Saturn that way.
well, he kind of was if you think of Caesar, because it was Caesar was connected to
Matt,
Joker,
yeah,
Mads too. Joker was then connected to Kaido. Kaido was probably selling these weapons to the government as
but
well.
Caesar was also connected to Vegapunk, who were trying to connect to Joker.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Vegapunk was
So
also helping Kaido. What? Damn.
it's such a messy blob of connections that it's like it's gonna be an interesting lore drop at the end of this, like at the end of the show, because it's gonna be just left, right, left.
Yeah, it's like you got one of them spider webs and you're just like connecting one little line at a time. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? But that connects so many different webs. But yeah, I feel like we talked about this a lot. Um, Doflamingo, he's got to escape. He's got to mean something. He knows something. There's some kind of relevance. Much I like to equate it to like NL. NL coming back, knowing things. Very powerful opponent. Don't know where he's gonna fit in the story. Same thing with this guy. It's just like maybe I got no idea. It's too many
And this
powerful opponents.
message and this Vegapunk message, I wouldn't be I don't think he's surprised by what is being said. I will say
Damn.
that's how much
Yeah.
I think he knows is that I don't think any of this really surprises him. I think he's because of the question he asked Magellan, I think it kind of touches on everything where he knows about the first and the second world, or maybe just the second, maybe just one of them, but he knows that the world was different before. So
Yeah. I
tell
could.
us what you guys think as well. Like I want to hear some of your guys' theories about Doflamingo
That
or
would be.
some what you guys want to happen. That'd be
That would be
pretty nice.
crazy interesting. Probably not even like Doflamingo, but like just somebody in this criminal network, like being like, yeah, we were stealing a bunch of Adam tree wood, and
Yeah,
found these cave drawings, and like he doesn't they don't show them because they don't copy them or nothing like that, but just like somebody stumbled on it before, like trying to smuggle some Adam tree wood or something like that. I don't know. I There's a lot there. There's a lot you can connect them to.
there is all up there.
You guys let us know. We'll be back
Peace.
for the next one.
Peace.